Hello, Assalamu alaikum, students. This is our lecture number 6. We have just covered uh, Murphy's model in the previous lecture, and now we are going to discuss the Weber's model. Excuse me. Uh, addressed Weber model addressed the need of instructional leadership regardless of the school's organizational structure and concluded that even if an instructional leader were not backed as a principal such as a leader was, imperative, packaged as a principal. It's mean uh, this model helps uh, very small school with very big organization. For example, a school of 250 students is considered, for example, a small school. The big school that has a strength of 1,000. So, or it is a national international game like Beacon of the City School, Bluefielder, or it is a single school of one honor. So this Weber's model can be used here. He concluded from his review of the research that the leaderless team approach to a school's instructional program has powerful appeal. But a large group of professionals still needs a single point of contact and a active advocate for teaching and learning. So, what does it mean? The leaderless team approach to a school's instructional program has, powerful appeal, but a large group of professionals still need a single point of contact, the active advocate. It's mean some people say that okay, if you all are doing efforts to achieve a goal, and if someone is not supervising you, not helping and guiding you, you can achieve the goal. This is one point, but many people understand that this is very useful to have a person in the school who should monitor, guide, support, facilitate the team to achieve the goal. Okay, Weber's point is especially uh, important in today's educational arena of shared leadership and site-based management, and emphasizes the conclusion that instructional leadership is necessary regardless of the hierarchical nature of a school organization. So it's mean it is not important that uh, only the school head should be the person who can guide, help, support people, or can keep check and balance to achieve the goals and maintain the predefined standards. Rather, every single person working in the organization should be responsible to do best at their place and lead in order to develop conducive learning environment where students and teachers could perform their best and share and learn from each other's experience. So, mean it is not necessary that there should be a top-down bureaucratic structure and there should be a hierarchical structure of the organization. Then it is implemented. Rather, uh, it can be it can work in a loose structure as well. So Weber 1996 identified five essential domains of instructional leadership based on his review of the literature. Like Murphy, Weber also developed a model based on the review of the literature in these bold written domains to develop his model. These domains include defining the school's mission, managing curriculum and instruction, promoting a positive learning climate, observing and improving uh, instruction, and assessing the instructional program. This model is consistent with the two earlier models and incorporates many of the same elements. So this is very true. If you look at that, for example, developing the school mission, managing the curriculum, promoting a positive learning environment, you know, so these elements are similar to the previous models. So sorry, yes. So this is Weber's 1926 model of instructional leadership. So defining the school mission, the instruction leader collaboratively develops a common vision goals for the school stakeholders. Stakeholders, as I earlier said, students, teachers, head teachers, community, state, district government. He develops the goals of the school with the help of these. Uh, I mean, he do not only set the goals of the school, rather he, takes the collaborative approach. So this is new aspect in this. Otherwise, this dimension was part of the previous models as well. So, managing curriculum and instruction. The instructional leader monitors classroom practice aligned with the school's mission, provide resources and support in the use of instructional best practice. So, being instructional leader, uh, should not leave the things. I mean, you do not take the approach of a laissez-faire. Uh, in laissez-faire approach, you know, laissez-faire is a French phrase, as we have already, done it in the previous subject that I was taking. Laissez-faire is a French phrase where a person takes the hands-on approach. I mean, uh, free rinse, let the things arrive. So you basically monitor classroom practices and what you see there, whether the alignment is with the school mission or not. If it is not, you discuss with the teacher. You highlight the deviation and take constructive measures. Then you provide resources and support in the use of instructional best practice. And in order to achieve the goal of the organization, the efforts that teachers are taking, you support them to achieve those goals, and you provide everything to achieve the goals. And models and provides support in the use of data to drive instruction. You basically, being ahead, acts as the role model, and you help and provide the support uh, through the using of data to take the instruction meaningfully. Then I'm going to the third dimension of the model, that is promoting a positive learning climate. So the instructional leader promotes a positive learning climate by communicating goals, establishing expectations, and establishing an organized environment. So there are three elements. First, you share the expectations, what you wish from people, what they have to do, what they have to achieve. Then you ask people after sharing goals that you have to achieve these, and then you develop a learning environment where people should strive to achieve those goals. And number four, observing and improving instruction. Being the instruction leader, you observe and improve instruction through the use of classroom observation and professional development opportunities. So, being ahead, you being instruction leader, observe and improve the instruction. You look at how people are doing, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the teachers' practices in their instruction. You note those, uh, you know, and then you most of the time sit in class and observe what people are doing, how they are doing, what are the problems they are facing, where they are good, where they need, professional development help. So then you create a professional development opportunities from need analysis of the teachers, and then you offer them professional development, trainings to develop people in the areas where they need training. The final dimension is assessing the instructional program. The instructional leader contributes to the planning, designing, administering, and analysis of assessment that evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum. So, dear students, this is very important. None of the activity could be, fine unless it uh, have certain standard against which people have to execute those activity, and you must have the check and balance system. So what you do actually being instruction leader, you plan, and according to planning you design, then you administer what analysis of assessment and evaluations for the effectiveness of the curriculum. In order to make the curriculum effective, you keep check and balance on the various instructional activities, uh, you know, inside the school. So this helps to improve the instructional program overall, actually. So synthesis and theoretic grounding, a simplified model. The three models all show the importance of three fundamental. The three models: the model of Murphy and Hellinger, 1985; then Murphy's model, 1990; then Weber's model of 1996. So all these three models, we are going to synthesize, and we are going to think what is common in discuss what is common in these models. So three models all show the importance of three fundamental instructional leadership function. और वो कौन कौन से हैं? जो पहला फंक्शन है, that is defining and communicating goals. Second, monitoring and providing feedback on teaching and learning process. Uh, Number three, promoting and emphasizing the importance of the professional development. So these 3 points are really very important. In all these three models, all these three points are common. You set the goal, either you set by yourself or in collaboration with the stakeholders, and do you communicate those goals of the school with the teaching and non-teaching staff. Number two, then you monitor how people are doing work. You highlight the mistakes, strengths and weaknesses of the teachers and the working staff, and then you give feedback in order to improve the teaching and learning process. And finally, you also emphasize the professional importance of professional development through highlighting the uh, need and areas where teachers need professional development. So the three process of instructional leadership are consistent with Locke and Latham's goal setting theory. These three, uh, instructional leadership aspects are, in line with the theory of Locke and Latham's goal setting theory, which is arguably one of the most effective theories of motivation. So, for the sake of reference, you can, uh, access this theory and read it. So, elements of the simplified model of instruction. Again, we are going to, have a close look in detail on these, models. Yes. The this means that the leaders work collaboratively with staff to define, communicate, and use shared goals of the school. Goals are used in making organizational decisions, aligning instructional practices, purchasing curriculum materials, and providing targets for progress. These goals focus the staff around a common mission to achieve. So, for me, from here, this is something new and that the goals that we define and share with the teachers are used in making organizational decisions. These goals are used to take decisions with reference to various activities inside the school. Then they align the instructional practices that we, do in order to achieve the goals. Then we pursue curriculum, purchasing curriculum material, for example, books, textbooks, helping books, reading materials, or practical laboratories, equipment, etc. And providing targets for the progress. Then we, give targets in order to achieve good practice. So these schools actually focus the staff around a common mission. So it helps the teaching and non-teaching staff around the common goal of the organization that is to be achieved. So instructional leadership simplified model. Now I'm going to the second aspect of it. Monitors and provides feedback on the teaching and learning process. This dimension describes the activities of an instructional leader. This dimension describes the activities of an instructional leader around the academic curriculum. This defines that it keeps the activities of the instructional leader, around the curriculum. So, in other words, it keeps the focus of the instructional leader on the curriculum. These activities include being visible throughout the school, mean being informed, vigilant, having check and balance control, talking with students and teachers, mean getting feedback from teachers and students, working with in close relationship with students and teachers, and you being the instruction leader, you appreciate, acknowledge the people, either student or teacher who are performing well, and you give feedback, and then community on academic performance, you know, uh, providing praise and feedback to teachers, students, and community on academic performance, and ensuring that the instructional time of the school is not interrupted. So it's mean whenever you are doing all this, that you are developing close relationship with the students and the teacher. You are you know giving feedback, acknowledging and appreciating the outperformers, but you always keep in view that this should not interrupt the instructional time of the students and teachers. Now I am going to discuss the final and third, aspect of this model, that is promotes a school-wide professional development. So, encompassed in this dimension are behaviors that are consistent with lifelong learning. The instructional leader encourages teachers to learn more about students' achievement through data analysis, provide professional development opportunities that are aligned to school goals, and provides professional literature and resources to teachers. So let me take this point from another angle. Being a school head, you do not take the results of the students, just values, information, figures that need to be shared with the students, community, parents, and then you just close files and keep in store. Rather, you learn from these values, figures, and you use this data with reference to the teacher's performance and students' performance, that What are the factors that help teachers and students to perform good in certain aspects, in certain subjects, and uh, average or below average in others. So you use that to design this, to define the strengths and weaknesses of the teachers, and then you take it an opportunity and develop the professional development program, and you offers the teachers a professional development programs. You give them a content that helps them to improve their knowledge, skill, and attitude with reference to their job. So and you basically develop their attitude, learn from the information, the data, and then groom themselves professionally continuously, and you give all support in this particular regard. So overall, the focus was almost on those elements, but this was a combined integrated view of the key models. So this is a instructional leadership questionnaire that was developed by these people from Ohio State University, and by the way, this is available on the internet as well. So now I'm going to the next slide, that is promote school-wide professional developments. Uh, being instructional leader. So let me have a look. Yes, being instruction leader, to encourage teachers to attend professional development activities that are aligned to school goals. Uh, the activities that you offer teachers to develop them professionally, that are in line with the goals of the institution, mean that helps to achieve the goals of the institution. Then provide uh, for in-house professional development opportunities around instructional best practices. You help them to learn from within the school, from other teachers, from head, and from the resources inside the school to improve their practice. And then you plan professional development around teachers' needs and wants. You always keep in view the te- teachers' training need analysis, and then you develop the professional development program. Uh, you being instructional leader, your support visualized professional development plan. Uh, I mean, you. This is very useful point that you do not consider all the people's same or similar. Rather, you think that every single person may have different strengths and weaknesses, and you should design professional development plan according to the need of that person. So you appreciate it, and you do the same practice. So plan professional development in service with teachers. You plan the training of the teachers on the job, furnishes useful professional materials and resources to teachers. You develop links with the professional development organizations, with the research organizations, and you get help from those organizations to develop your teachers, and you give them support on the job. You offer them, resources to use to develop themselves. To schedule time on in service for collaboration along with teachers. You collaborate with teachers and design in service, uh, schedule of the in service collaboration where teachers, uh, section leader, and the other staff should learn from each other. So defines and communicates shared goals. The previous head was promotes school-wide professional development. And this is defines and communicates shared goals. So again, this is an elaboration of the previous points that use data on student achievement to guide faculty. Discussions on the instructional program mean use the results of the students to guide faculty that where they are good and where they need improvement. encourage teachers to use data analysis of students' academic progress, always motivates, inspires, and helps the teachers to how to use the students' results to improve their academic progress. Develops data-driven academic goals in collaboration with teachers. He do not develops the goal of the school by him or herself, rather he collaborates with the teacher and use the data information performance of the teachers and the faculty to develop the goal collaboratively. Uh, Communicates the school's academic goals to the community. He shares the goals of the school uh, to the teachers, then works with teachers to interpret assessment data for instructional implications. Yes, uh, communicates the school's academic goals to the faculty, then work with teachers to interpret assessment data for instructional implications, and use school goals when making academic decisions. I mean, being instruction head, you always keep it with your school goals when you take decisions. Then develop school goals that promote high standards and expectations for all students. I mean, you design such a goal of the school that you know uh, design high standards and expectations for all the students. So sets high but achievable standards for all students. I mean, these are very high, very good goals, but achievable, measurable, and realistic. And this is for all the students. Finally, monitors and provides feedback on the learning process. Feedback on and the learning process. So इसमें end नहीं है monitors and provides feedback on the learning process. So visits the classroom to ensure classroom's instruction aligned with school goals. Monitors classroom to ensure classroom instruction aligns with the school goals. So आप being instruction लीडर आप क्लास में जाते हैं और आप क्लास को मॉनिटर करते हैं. But what you watch here, you watch and see whether the instructional activities are in line in the achievement of school goals. Where there is deviation, you basically ensure the classroom instruction to make it in line with the school goals. So next is work with students on academic tasks. Being a section leader, you yourself work with students on the academic activity. Stays in the office all day, reversed store. I mean, uh, you always keep your presence and do not leave the school as such. People should have sense that you are there, you are with them, you are here to support them, you are here to listen, watch them. So observe teachers for professional development instead of evaluation. Being the head instruction leader, you do not, visits only to watch whether teachers are doing good or not. Rather, to observe you being an instruction head, you observe them that what are the weaknesses of the teachers so that you could help them develop professionally. So evaluates teachers to improve instructional practice. Um, you help teachers through professional development to improve their practice in the instruction and provides private feedback of teachers' efforts. In आप one-on-one मीटिंग लेते हैं and you help them, students and teachers. आप उन दोनों को mutually उनकी मीटिंग्स देते हैं and to provide them feedback. So for students, this was Fine. So, students, this was all from my side. Uh, I would advise you to get through all this material with all the lectures and the provided in the documents and come up with the questions for the better understanding. So, thank you very much. This is the end of lecture number 6.